Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price today as we are approaching the previous all-time high, heading towards our target of $65,000 to $66,000. And then when we look at Ethereum, just like we talked about yesterday, we are seeing a massive breakout from the symmetrical triangle that, if we look at the target here, takes us all the way to the $2,600 to $2,700 level for the Ethereum price. And then when we look at what's happening to the S&P 500, you can see here we are still forming new all-time highs in traditional markets. Is Bitcoin going to come up and break out towards our target of $65,000 to $66,000? That's the big question to talk about today. You guys are watching the Snipers channel. My name is Naeem Al-Abeidi. If you appreciate this content, remember to like this video. First, I want to talk about exactly what's happening to Bitcoin's price, because you can see here on the 4-hour chart, we are over and above the Ichimoku cloud. And when we look at the volume here, we are still seeing light volume, but we know the path of least resistance is always going to be sideways to a little bit higher. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, sideways to higher price action. And with that, we're seeing a lot of altcoins see momentum. And of course, with Bitcoin's price right now, if we continue to stay above 58,350, in my opinion, that's the major level that could take us to new all-time highs for the Bitcoin price, just like we're seeing with the S&P 500. However, if we break 58,300, we have to keep in mind the previous weekly open at 57,300. If that breaks, the real detrimental situation would come if we break the current weekly open at 55,746. And so we want to monitor this, because if we continue to see light volume, there's a possibility we still see sideways price action for Bitcoin, which means large swings to the upside and downside. And so we have to just keep that in mind. However, so far, things look very bullish. We are seeing a continuation to the upside, and now we're seeing the total cryptocurrency market cap see new all-time highs. And so currently, our first target for Bitcoin will be the $61,844 level. But I believe if we get to this point, we will most likely see the full schematics of the symmetrical triangle play out towards this target here of around the $65,000 to $66,000 level for Bitcoin in the next couple of days into next week. And then when we look at what's happening to Ethereum, you can see we made a video about Ethereum yesterday because we were approaching this major area where there's much confluence here at 1850 for a lot of volume to come in to see a potential breakout. And we are starting to see buyers come in here on the Ethereum to US dollar chart. And when we pull up what's happening to the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, what you'll notice here is we are breaking this downtrend resistance level, and we are potentially going to start moving higher, because when we look at the daily chart, notice how we are now coming above the 200-day moving average, which we want to start closing hourly candles and 4-hour candles above this level to assume a potential reversal with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, because this bottom has happened as EIP 1559 was announced to come later this year. And so this could potentially be not just a fundamental reason for Ethereum to Bitcoin to bottom out, but it also could be a technical reason based on the fact that this is a major channel support that we've been watching on the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. And then you can see, most importantly, we are above the monthly open and the previous weekly open finally, and that is what we were looking to see for a potential reversal here with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. The real confirmation is going to come at 32,900 satoshis, where the 20-week moving average sits, because if we get above that, that's the first confirmation that we're going to most likely see 35,000 satoshis, and that could drive Ethereum's price much and beyond the $2,000 level towards our target of around that $26,000 to $2,500 area, based on the schematics of the symmetrical triangle that we're currently breaking out from. And so that's what we need to watch for the Ethereum breakout. Of course, if Bitcoin starts to come sideways, we want to maintain 1783, because that is a major support for Ethereum. But first, of course, we have this symmetrical triangle previous resistance, which is now going to be support right around that 1860 area. If we get a bounce there, we could see 1971 quick, or we could just continue to the upside. If we see 1971, I think 2000 plus is highly likely, and new all-time highs, especially if the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is doing well. And so we want to monitor what's happening here to Ethereum, because if we look at, lastly, the volume here for the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, we are also starting to see some buyers come in with a lot less sellers. And so that's a good thing. and still low volume here, but once again, the path of least resistance is sideways to higher, not lower. And so that means that we could potentially start to see the volume increase here in the next couple of days, now that we're getting more and more confirmations of a breakout here for Ethereum. So that's very positive news. And then when we look at others' dominance, so look at that, 12.22, 1222. I like that number here. You can see we are breaking out, and that is a very positive thing. We're seeing a lot of momentum with altcoins. I expect that to continue. A lot of people are, becoming bearish about altcoins, but I've yet to see any bearish confirmations, and so I'm still bullish based on the technicals. Bitcoin dominance is coming down. We can expect that if we're starting to see strength with altcoins, especially if Ethereum starts to move up. And with traditional markets and the DXY, notice here how we did come up to this resistance, and now we are coming back up to retest this resistance. But regardless of all of the strength we've seen over the last 2 months, we've yet to see traditional markets affected by this, because the S&P 500 today formed a new all-time high, which we know is the first confirmation we were looking for to assume Bitcoin new all-time highs. And so we could expect to potentially see new all-time high for Bitcoin based on the confirmation we're getting here with the S&P 500. So we want to monitor this. The DXY is coming up. That typically would be a concern, because of course on the daily chart you can see we have this 50-day moving average coming up. We're potentially going to be seeing a golden cross here with this 50-day moving above the 200-day moving average. And so far, we know in the past, anytime the DXY has come back above the 200-day moving average after a prolonged bear trend, we've seen a lot of price action to the upside. You can see here, same exact scenario. And so we want to monitor this for the DXY, because this was in the time frame where we started to see the cryptocurrency bear market. And so I'm not calling that there's going to be a bear market, but what I am saying is it's a positive thing that the DXY is coming up, and we've yet to see the assets like the S&P 500 and Bitcoin react to this in a negative way, which means that we could hold prices longer than we think, and we could also start to see a consolidation here for the dollar if we start to slow down a little bit. We know this is a major area for the dollar, and so we will continue to watch the DXY. I think that's very important, being the fact that we are above the 20-week moving average now for the first time since this downtrend, and we're coming up to test this 50-week moving average. Let's see how the dollar reacts to this, if we're going to see continuation to the upside, because if that happens, it could affect traditional markets. When we look at international markets, there are a lot of signs of weakness here compared to what's happening to the S&P 500, but you really want to look at this as almost a good thing, because if these markets are oversold, that means what's the next move for these markets? Maybe it's going to be higher up, and that could allow the S&P 500 to continue higher as well. Maybe the S&P 500 just isn't falling because it's such a strong market in compared to these international markets like Japan, Shanghai, and the CSI 300. So we want to watch these traditional markets to see how they're going to be affected. The US oil looks like it's topping out here, which would also make us assume that the DXY is going to strengthen, because they do have an inverse relationship. So if this starts to come down, the DXY could start to come up. We want to watch what happens here to US oil, because there is a big correlation between US oil and the DXY. Usually when the DXY comes up, oil prices come down. So if that is the case, this could be a confirmation that we're going to see further upside for the DXY, which could potentially jeopardize the uptrend for Bitcoin and the S&P 500. It could continue a consolidation. Who knows? But with that being said, guys, the conclusion here is when we look at what's happening to Bitcoin, we're seeing sideways price action based on low volume, as we've been expecting. And of course, me being the umpire, we called this breakout beyond 58,300. It's exactly what's been acting as a major level here. You can see 58,300, how many times it's been tested. And when a level is tested like this once, twice, a third time, a fourth time, it is extremely important. And so you can see here, major resistance, breakout level. So numbers are important. This is obviously a vibrational zone. So 58,300 now is key for me. If we come below that, we have to start looking at potential downside scenarios. Up to the weekly open, I'm totally fine. 55,700, if we come down there, totally cool with me. If we come below this level, that's when I would be worried. And so that's the downside there. But for the upside, we know we have the target of 65 to 66,000, and so far, as long as we maintain above 58,300, we can expect this to continue higher, especially after we've seen the confirmation now with the S&P 500. And with that being said, guys, if you want to win one of my favorite books on investing, Principles by Ray Dalio, comment below, share this video, and you'll be entered into this giveaway. I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner from our video yesterday. Sweet Canary says, exciting and true. Thank you so much. Go ahead and send me a message on Instagram. The link is in the description. You want a book. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, snipers out.